Jealous people always say these words. What if I told you that the cold stares, the fake support, and the subtle jabs you've been noticing might not be in your head? They might be signs of jealousy and envy, quiet, powerful emotions that people mask with smiles but can't truly hide. Because underneath it all, jealousy doesn't start with hate. It starts with lack. The people who envy you aren't just reacting to your success, your confidence, or your growth. They're reacting to what they feel they're missing in themselves. Maybe it's the body they want, the attention they crave, the life they thought they deserved before you showed up and reminded them of everything they haven't achieved. And when that feeling festers, it leaks out. Through passive comments, distancing, cold energy. You feel it before you can even name it. That's why today we're diving into the real signs of jealousy and envy, so you can stop second-guessing yourself and start recognizing what's actually going on. You ever notice how sometimes, after something good happens in your life, someone close to you just starts acting different? Maybe they stop texting as much, maybe their compliments feel a little off, or they make a joke that stings more than it should, and you start wondering, did I do something wrong? Am I being too much? But deep down, you can feel it. Something shifted, and you can't quite explain why. That's often the first sign. It's not always loud or obvious. Sometimes jealousy and envy show up in silence, in distance, in energy that just doesn't feel right anymore. And if you've felt that, if you've been on the receiving end of that shift, you're not imagining it. I've seen it happen more times than I can count. You get a win, a promotion, a new relationship, a breakthrough moment, and suddenly something shifts around you. A friend gets quiet. A family member offers a compliment that feels complicated. Someone close to you starts pulling away, or even worse, they start subtly undermining what should be a joyful moment. Why doesn't this feel as good as I thought it would? Why does their reaction hurt more than I want it to? That's what jealousy and envy do. They rarely scream. They whisper. They linger. They twist good things into moments of confusion and doubt. You start second-guessing yourself, not because you've done anything wrong, but because someone else doesn't know how to sit with what you've achieved. The truth is, when people haven't given themselves permission to believe they're enough, your success can feel like a threat to their identity. And the hardest part, most of the time they won't admit it. They won't say, "I'm envious of you." Instead, they'll shift. They'll distance. They'll throw subtle shade. You'll hear things like, "Must be nice. Wow, you're lucky." That's not really a big deal, is it? It doesn't come as open hatred. It comes as minimization, as disconnection, as backhanded compliments. And it's painful, because it's coming from people you thought were safe. Here's what no one tells you. Envy and jealousy don't always look like aggression. Sometimes they look like silence when you expected support, like friends who no longer clap when you win, like someone close to you slowly withdrawing, not because of what you did, but because your growth reflects the parts of them they haven't touched yet. You start questioning yourself. Was I too much? Did I brag? Maybe I should tone it down. But let me tell you something hard and honest. You're not too much. You're just a mirror, and mirrors can make people uncomfortable when they're not ready to see themselves. Most envy isn't about what you have. It's about what someone else thinks they can't have. So when your joy threatens their story, when your confidence challenges their self-doubt, it's easier for them to reject you than to face what they haven't healed. That's the lie jealousy tells them. They don't deserve it. They changed. They got lucky. But here's the deeper lie. The one it tells you, shrink, dull your light, be less so they feel better. Here's the truth I wish someone had told me years ago. Jealousy doesn't always look like jealousy. Sometimes it looks like support that feels a little hollow. Sometimes it looks like people pulling away when you're finally stepping into your light. And it hurts the most when it comes from the people you love, because you don't want to believe it's envy. You want to believe they're proud of you. You want to believe they're clapping, not cringing. But I've learned that when people haven't healed their own sense of lack, your wins can feel like reminders of what they're not doing. That's how envy works. It turns admiration into comparison. It turns connection into competition. I remember a time when I hit a big milestone, a promotion that I thought would finally earn me respect, maybe even admiration. Instead, I noticed something shift in someone close to me. Their texts became fewer, their responses colder, and their words, once warm, suddenly felt sharp, like tiny jabs disguised as jokes. At first, I doubted myself. Was I bragging? Was I too loud about my win? But here's what I learned. Those changes weren't about me. They were about the envy they couldn't admit to, even to themselves. And that envy shows up in ways we don't always catch. But it's there. Like when someone minimizes your success with phrases like, "That's not a big deal," or "You're just lucky this time." Or when they suddenly become too busy to celebrate with you. Or worse, when they spread subtle rumors or doubts that chip away at your confidence. These are the vital signs of jealousy and envy in action. They're quiet, almost invisible attacks. And if you don't recognize them, they can leave you doubting your worth. But the truth? It's not your worth that's the problem. It's their pain they haven't faced yet. That pain lives in the cracks of their own story. The moments they've ignored, the wounds they've buried deep, the dreams they gave up on or never believed they could have. When someone envies you, what they're really wrestling with is their own sense of lack. A feeling that they're missing something essential inside themselves. It's uncomfortable to look at that pain, so instead, it's easier to focus on you, to push back, to tear down, to keep themselves safe from facing the truth that they feel less than enough. Jealousy isn't just about wanting what you have. It's about being afraid to admit what they don't have and don't know how to get. And because they haven't faced their own pain, their envy gets louder and louder, even if it's never said out loud. That's why jealousy feels like a shadow. It follows you around, unseen but heavy, making light moments feel heavy and turning support into suspicion. But here's the thing. Their pain is not your burden to carry. You don't have to fix it, explain it, or shrink yourself to make them comfortable. Their jealousy is a mirror reflecting their own struggle, not a measure of your value. And that struggle, it's real, it's deep, it's the pain they haven't dared to face yet. The fear of not being enough, seen, heard, loved. Sometimes you'll notice subtle shifts, a smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes, a word that feels like it's holding back, or a distance that grows even when nothing's said. These aren't random. They're signs. The silent language of jealousy and envy. Maybe they compare themselves to you constantly. Not just your wins, but your confidence, your peace, your joy. And that comparison becomes a quiet battle inside them. Or they might try to dim your light. With jokes that sting, compliments that fall flat, or by making your success seem like a fluke. This is their way of coping. It's messy, painful, and yes, it can hurt you. But remember, it's not about you. It's about their pain they haven't faced yet. And that's why it's so important to recognize these signs, not to blame, but to protect your own peace and power. Another sign, when praise feels forced or fake, like they're trying to be supportive, but something holds them back. Maybe their compliments come with a side of hesitation, or they quickly change the subject when you share your wins. That hesitation? It's the quiet weight of envy pulling at their words. Then there's the classic subtle sabotage. It might be small things, questions meant to plant doubt, or jokes that sting just enough to make you second-guess yourself. Like when they say, "Are you sure you're ready for that?" Or, "That's not how it usually works," but with a tone that's just a little too sharp. You see, envy isn't always loud. It doesn't always look like confrontation or open resentment. Often it's a slow drip of undermining energy. It's the cold shoulder when you expected warmth. The distance when you wanted closeness. Here's a big one. When someone's joy doesn't feel genuine. When they celebrate your success, but it's tangled with a hint of bitterness or comparison. They might say, "Good for you," but you catch the flicker of something else. Maybe frustration, maybe regret. They might even start copying you, the way you dress, the things you say, the choices you make. That's the quiet tragedy of jealousy. It doesn't show up to attack. It shows up to defend the story someone's built about their own worth. And your progress, your light, your self-trust. That threatens the story they've been rehearsing quietly for years. I'm behind. I'm not good enough. I'll never get there. You don't have to call anyone out. You don't have to defend your success. You don't have to make yourself smaller to keep the peace. Because here's the truth that changed everything for me. When someone responds to your growth with distance, bitterness, or quiet resentment, it doesn't mean you've done something wrong. It means you've done something right. You've grown into a version of yourself they haven't had the courage to meet yet, not even in themselves. Your only job is to stay rooted. Rooted in your truth, rooted in your joy, rooted in the quiet knowing that your worth was never up for debate. Because the more grounded you are in who you are, the less shaken you'll be by who can't handle it. Jealousy and envy only have power when you mistake them for rejection. But what if they're not rejection at all? What if they're reflection? A reflection of someone else's pain, a reflection of your own progress, a reflection of how far you've come, and how much further you're meant to go. So the next time someone withdraws when you rise, the next time support turns to silence, or celebration turns to sarcasm, don't spiral, don't shrink, don't start rewriting your joy just to make others more comfortable. Instead, pause, take a breath, and remember, their response is a window into their journey, not a verdict on yours. You are not too much. You are not the problem. You are simply becoming, and becoming will always reveal who's willing to grow with you and who's not ready yet. Don't let someone's quiet resentment make you question your loud progress. Don't let their silence drown out your celebration. You've worked for this. You've healed for this. You've waited for this, and you deserve to feel joy without guilt. The truth is, jealousy and envy will always exist in the world, but they don't have to live rent-free in your mind. Instead, try this. Celebrate yourself anyway. Shine anyway. Speak life over your own journey, even when others don't know how. Because one of the most powerful things you can do is stay kind, stay clear, and keep going. Not to prove anything, but to honor everything you've become. You are not the villain in someone else's unresolved story. You're simply the reminder that they still have a story to face. And that's not your burden. Your only job is to keep becoming. Keep growing, keep loving, keep showing up, fully, unapologetically, and free. Because the people who are meant for your light won't ask you to dim it. If this spoke to something you felt but couldn't quite name, share it with someone who might need that same clarity today. And hey, if you made it this far, type enough in the comments. Let's see who's ready to own their worth. If you've ever dimmed your light just to keep others comfortable, let this be your reminder. You don't have to shrink to be safe. You get to take up space, just as you are. Keep becoming, and thank you for watching, and see you in the next video for more.